Hey everyone, and welcome back to Catching Up with the Walkers. If this is your first time here, I'm Gary.
And I'm Cassie.
And we want to thank you guys for stopping by today. Whether you are getting started with a little bit of morning coffee, or maybe you're sitting down in your recliner after a hard day's work, we really do appreciate the time you take out of your day to spend a little bit of time with us.
I actually got a cute little themed mug here. What are these? Dixies? Mm-hmm. It says, currently caffeinating.
Currently caffeinating, and mine is off. And when I get down to here, you turn on the switch. Off and on.
Yeah, so this RV has been amazing, and we'll do some more videos about it and the convenience and how much we love it. But they give you dishes and pots and pans, stuff like that. But washing them in the tiny sink, and we're going on adventures and all that. So And also, these are a little bit insulated. Yeah.
To where our little coffee mug.
What I was going to say, we make our coffee, then we set out on our adventure. Their coffee mug that we wouldn't want to break or lose or whatever isn't as convenient. Yeah. If we were just going to stay around the camper, it would be awesome.
Yeah, and you may notice that we're inside right now. So we have lots of beautiful views in Alaska. And there's probably a beautiful view outside right now.
Oh, there's for sure a beautiful view.
But it's a little bit hazy because it's a little bit cooler today, and it's actually cold.
Yeah, I was going to say, so it's been cold here. Like my watch has said 48. But I've been outside in a hoodie or a jacket or even a t-shirt at some points when the sun's out. But today, I would need my full weather gear that is in Oklahoma. It's cold.
Yeah, and some of you might not know, but we are in Alaska on a 10-day vacation. This is day 7 or 8. The longest vacation that Cassie and I have ever taken, ever, together as a couple.
We were gone for 8 days before.
This is 10 days, though.
Oh, yeah. We haven't made it that far yet.
Yeah, we're not there yet, but this is the longest vacation that we've ever planned and that we're planning on finishing.
Yes, it's too early for me to be thinking of those things, but I thought you meant, I see, when we're done, it'll be the longest vacation.
Yes.
And for sure the longest vacation for the kids. We usually just go a few days here and there.
So, to get into our topic for the day, and a lot of you have asked as we went along and showed some of our videos over at Walker Farm Fam. And if you haven't subscribed to that channel, go check that out. It might be, is it your favorite? Do you have a favorite?
Walker Farm Fam would be my favorite.
Oh, there you go. She does play favorites. I don't play favorites. I like everybody who subscribed to this channel just as equally as everybody subscribed to the other channel.
I thought you were talking about what's your favorite YouTube channel.
Oh, okay. So, other than Catching Up with the Walkers, her favorite YouTube channel is Walker Farm Fam. Yeah. But if you haven't been over there, we had lots of videos of our adventures as we go out in the day, and we try to capture as much of that as we can and put that up for you guys. And we've had lots of questions about how much does it cost for land? How much does it cost?
How much is gas?
To get there? How much does it cost for gas?
How much are groceries?
How much are groceries? Everything. So what we thought we would do is, just from our brief experience, the last 7 to 8 days, we would like to catch you guys up on the true cost of living or traveling, vacationing in Alaska. And do you want to start off with something that you've thought about? Because I know you had something in mind.
Cost as in money-wise, or cost as in sacrifice?
Money. Let's do money first. So there's a lot of differences here in Alaska that we've noticed from back in the States or back in Oklahoma. And we'll talk about those next. But let's talk about money-wise.
Okay. So our friends who live here, most of you guys know we've talked about them and things. We haven't formally introduced them, but we've been busy. It's hard to say, hey, let's set up an interview while the 4 kids run wild. But they live here, and that is a blessing because we have got to stay on their property in the RV. We can stay in the house if we want, but we've been staying in the RV. They've been showing us the local things. Let's eat there, let's not eat here, or whatever. But they had told us that with my profession and Gary's profession, they're like, there's so many jobs here. We could get you a job tomorrow. We're like, really? And then they were like, Cassie, we could get you a job making such and such. And I'm like, it's like 9 times more than I make. And then Gary, we could get you a job with your qualifications and background and history in Native American culture, because the Native American stuff is big here. So we could get you a job making this. And I'm like, holy cow. So great jobs, great paying jobs. But then we went to the local Mexican restaurant and it was like $20 for some tacos.
Yeah, so our average family, when we go out to eat, I say we would order the exact same.
Yep.
So Cassie and I got a taco special. What was like
3 street tacos.
3 street tacos, beans and rice.
And we all drink water.
And we drink water because we already had pop earlier in the day. But the kids got their normal thing, whatever the kids get off the menu.
Quesadilla, chicken strips.
Yeah, and the typical bill back home for that outing probably would have been around $30.
And you would have got all the chips and salsa you wanted.
And you would have got chips and salsa.
And we didn't get that.
And then with a $5 tip, it probably would have been about $35. At this place,
which the food was amazing.
Which the food was
good.
It was good.
It wasn't like a fancy restaurant or anything.
It was still just your average, I'm going home from work, I want to get some Mexican food, stop and grab some food kind of place. And it was $69 before tip. And it was a little more than that because you guys got some smoothies.
Well, before we left, I told the kids, if you do a good job and you eat and you sit here and you act correctly, they had smoothies, and Ranger was wanting one, and I said, we'll get a smoothie. We thought they had shakes. Mazzy wanted a chocolate shake.
Real fruit smoothies.
Yeah, and so I told them they could get those things, which they were out of milk. So we ended up with Mazzy ordered a mango smoothie, and she loved it. And Ranger ordered a strawberry smoothie, and it was real fruit. It was really good. But those, which they were big, but they were $6 a piece.
Yeah. So I've kind of noticed that. We've ate out maybe once a day, and then we've tried to eat kind of at home or prepare food the rest of the time. And that eating out has averaged probably about $20 per person.
Yeah.
Is what I would say per adult.
And we're used to like a kid's meal for $5. Comes with a drink.
$5 or $6.
Yeah.
Here, a kid's meal, $10 to $12.
Yeah, and doesn't come with a drink. So, not saying that's terrible. It's just how it is here. And the restaurants, it's not like, okay, do you want McDonald's? Do you want Chili's? Do you want a steakhouse? No, it's, okay, we're going to drive 35 minutes and there's one place to eat. Or we can drive the other way 45 minutes and there's another place to eat. And so, the food is good, but it's remote, it's spread out, and the prices are they're not having to compete with anyone.
Yeah, they kind of get to set their prices because they're kind of the only person in that town. But I think I haven't seen anything like that, like they're gouging. It's just, that's just the set price.
Yeah. And one, they don't have to compete with anyone, but 2, that's just what it costs to eat out here in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. So that's the, kind of gives you an idea on the food. And of course you want to budget for that. We budgeted for that. And so it's not really that big of a shock. The debit card slides a little easier after you budgeted.
Thankfully, though, we're getting to eat at our friend's home cooking as much as we'd like. If we weren't with our friend and we were just in the RV, we would go to Walmart and get some stuff that we could cook in here so we wouldn't have to eat out.
We would have planned out, and we probably wouldn't eat out even once a day, but when we're with friends and we like to visit, it's nice to be able to eat out. So that kind of covers the eating out part, but also if you're here on vacation, I went over the RV prices. So if you go over to Walker Farm Fam and check out our very first video here in Alaska, then you'll be able to see what it costs us to rent that RV. But as far as filling up the RV, gas prices, we paid today about $3.86 a gallon for gasoline. And that was not in Anchorage. That was about 4 hours away from Anchorage, which Anchorage is kind of their big
and it's
big
a little
city.
Cheaper there, right?
Yeah, it's a little bit cheaper, but I think it's still above $3 a gallon. So you will expect to pay a little more, which is kind of funny because they have lots of oil up here.
It's like we see Crosby, is that what it's called? We see their trucks everywhere.
Yeah, they have a lot of oil up here, but they send it down, I think, to get refined, and then it comes back up as the finished product. So oil is about a little bit higher. Another place that we saw kind of a sticker shock wasn't at the Walmart and the Costco, so to speak, in the big town of Anchorage, because that was maybe...
It was higher, but
it was a little bit higher, but nothing outrageous. But whenever you get out to a more remote area,
the local grocery store is called IGA.
Yeah, we went into an IGA today just to pick up a couple things to go with dinner. And I just was curious. We've got a few canned waters left. Cassie and I like to drink the just the carbonated natural flavored waters. Well, I went in there just to see what the price of those and get a gallon of milk. A gallon of milk was $4.50, which it wasn't that high in Anchorage. It was closer to $3.50, $4. And the LaCroix is what it was. It was $9.99 for an 8-pack. And that
I told him I don't have to have it.
At our Walmart, that is probably like $3.85 around that price. So that's where I really noticed the big difference. And I think a 40-pack of water was over $10.
Bottled water.
A bottled water. A 40-pack of bottled water at our Walmart is probably going to be $4.
Yeah.
And so maybe 3 times higher whenever you get to the more remote areas,
but
because
it's
it's convenience.
A grocery store 40 minutes away compared to Walmart is 2.5 hours away.
Yeah, 2.5 to 3 hours.
In Palmer, which is closer, they have it was like a Kroger, or it's an off-brand of a Kroger.
Yeah, it was
like a chain. What was the man's name?
I don't know, but it was kind of like a Kroger.
So their prices weren't Walmart prices, but their prices weren't IGA prices.
Yeah. So what we've learned is the further you get away from the big city, the more expensive your odds and ends stuff are going to get.
Oh, I was going to say from the Palmer grocery store, it's like an hour and a half away.
Yeah.
So that's another option. But our friend, she gets groceries delivered every Wednesday, didn't she say?
Mm-hmm. It's a 15% charge from Anchorage, which is like, again, 2.5 to 3 hours.
Yeah, so it's way worth it for them. They put in their Walmart or whatever order. They deliver it to them. 15% charge, which when they don't do that, they typically, because they have a 3-year-old, they drive there, spend the night, go the next day, do all their shopping, and then come back.
Because if not, then it's probably a 3-hour drive up there, or 3.5 hour by the time you stop and get something to eat. Shop. She said it takes her at least 2 hours to get her week's worth of food shopped for. And then if you take a 3 or 4 hour drive back, we'll take that. That's,
not worth it.
I mean,
I'm paying 15%.
There's like 8 or 9 hours. So
and staying the night.
That's your entire weekend, or one a day of your weekend. So for the 15% for them, it's worth it.
Yes.
For other people, they might want to go into town because they may have more stuff they need to get, or maybe they just like to see people. And that's where I think will be a good transition about the true cost of living in Alaska from the way we can see it from our short trip here. So the true cost of living in Alaska
would be, one, having to leave our family and our friends and our school, our church, things like that. Gary and I have talked a little bit about how much we would love living here. Then I'm reminded of the negative 50-degree weather they talk about, and I'm like, But I could really see us moving and doing something like this, but leaving our friends and our school that we love, our church, the familiar things, that would be a big sacrifice. Mazzy started crying yesterday evening. She was upset because she missed her best friend, Hopi, which you guys know if you watch Keeping It Dutch. But those are just reality things. So we miss seeing people that are familiar faces to us as well. So that would be a true cost of just packing up and moving. And people do it all the time. But we don't have to, so is it worth it? Yeah.
Another true cost would be if you don't live in the main city of Anchorage, which Alaska is a huge state, so you probably won't. Odds are, if you're looking for a more rural setting, then everything is spread out. So your cost is going to be in time. So like our friends have to drive an hour to go to the town that they work in, 45 minutes to an hour. But again, traveling back to the main city, 2 hours. So you're going to be spending time on the road, time to get here and there, because this state is so spread out.
Yes.
The highway system at home, our highways, and we might go 60 miles and go through 4 or 5 different towns.
Yeah.
Well, here, when you get on the highway, you better make sure your tank's full and you've got everything you need, like your last bathroom break, because it might be 110 miles.
Oh, without this RV, we would not be traveling very well in Alaska because there are no bathrooms. But the state of Alaska does put nice porta potty type things. Like we would see a rest stop in Oklahoma.
Some people would say nice porta potties, an oxymoron.
Well, but I'm trying to explain.
I know. I'm just saying.
A rest area in the lower 48, which they call it. We're learning the lingo. They provide rest stops. Here, because it's so remote, they provide rest stops, but they're outhouses because they can't just come and clean them and all that. But they're nice and they're different looking. When I first walked into one, we needed to use one the other day. We weren't in the RV. I opened the door and I was like, whoa, this is an outhouse, because it did not look like an outhouse from outside. It was very nice. But anyway, because it's so spread out, traveling, we would have to get used to that because we need pit stops.
Yeah, I don't think the maps that we've seen have really do Alaska justice, because
no, it looks like it's this big.
You have Alaska, you have the United States big, and then you have Alaska, and then you have, of course, Hawaii's little dots down here. Well, like Alaska's like half the size of the United States by itself, so it's really more of a sitting on an island up here than I ever thought. Yeah. I mean, it's more of its own thing. I know it's part of our country, and that's great, but it really does seem like a whole different place.
Yes, you guys keep commenting, hey, you should go to the North Pole. You should go to Homer.
Juneau.
You should go, like, lots of different places, and I look it up like that would be awesome, and then I MapQuest it. It's 13 hours away.
It's like forever and a day.
6 hours away or whatever. I'm like, there's no way. Like, you could vacation here every summer. Is it raining hard?
I think it's a little bit of rain.
Glad we didn't sit outside. But you could vacation here every summer for the next, I don't know how many years, and go see something different.
Yeah.
It's just so spread out.
It's really spread out, which is great, because if we come back, then we have a different agenda. And next time, if we do come back, and people have asked, what about Denali? Are we going to Denali? Well, we went north today, and we ended up, that'll be something to look forward to, we ended up in the middle of a snowstorm. So we camped out on McLaren River.
On the side of the road.
On the side of the road in the RV, all 8 of us. And we went to bed, spitting a few snowflakes, woke up, probably about 5 or 6 inches of snow.
Yep. And
a fun drive back over the McLaren Pass and back home. But it is just, that's as far north as we wanted to go right now.
Well, and it's super foggy. Everyone says now's not the time to go to Denali, because when people do, they get disappointed because of the weather, the fog, you can't see anything. So if we do come back, or we want that to be our destination, we'll find out when the best time is. I think they said the fall, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, and that, and then I know the roads wouldn't be great, but the Northern Lights, you know, are more along the wintertime. So there's different seasons that I think you could go to see different stuff in Alaska, but I have not been disappointed at all, even though... Sorry, go ahead. Oh, I was going to say, even though our trip wasn't just all over the place, I think we've enjoyed the time with our friends. We've enjoyed a little bit of everything. So I feel like what we've done on this vacation has been spot on. Yeah,
and when we kind of sent to Juju and Patrick what we wanted to do, she sent back, all of Alaska looks the same or something, and I was telling Gary that, and it didn't really make sense to us, but now we understand that when we're driving, there's mountains, there's beauty, there's waterfalls, there's
glaciers.
So if I drive 13 hours to a destination touristy spot that you guys or Google are telling us about, it's probably not going to knock my socks off any more than her back patio knocks my socks off, because it is beautiful. Yeah. So if you guys need to go watch Walker Farm Fam on our videos and see what the view from her back patio looks like, it's unbelievable. I've used that word a lot, but so there's no reason for us to drive 10 hours when we have all this beauty around us. Yeah, we're soaking in this part of the state, and I say we still traveled, a couple 100 miles in different directions. It's just this is nice, centralized. We can kind of get back to their house and let the kids run around and get out of the RV for a little bit, and that's worth a lot for us and them and our sanity. Which is good too. That's what's most important. So the last thing that you guys have asked about are land prices. And while I haven't done any in-depth research... I did 2 days ago. I can tell you that we have seen everything from $1,000 an acre
maybe even $800 an acre for about 10 acres, about $8,000.
I got really excited because I was looking on the realty sites a few days ago because I was interested. I saw a place in passing and I thought if we could find a place like that, I'd do it. And I started looking and I got really excited because I found 10 acres for, what was it, Gary? Now
about $8,000.
$8,000 or $10,000.
Yeah,
and I was like, and Gary said, that's probably on the side of a bluff. And I was like, okay. So I scrolled on down. I found 10 acres for $90,000.
Yeah.
So, a beautiful house with a decent view. No land though. You're looking at like $250,000.
Yeah, a couple $100,000 for a nice 2,000 square
with like
foot
$1 million
home
view.
with a beautiful view, and it just depends on the area though. Yes. So just like any other real estate, the prices here are location, location, location. So you will pay a little bit more for the view. You will pay for closer to good schools.
Closer to big towns.
Yeah, there used to be. I was talking to one of their neighbors here, Pete. He said when I told him we have a cattle farm and he asked how many acres, I said 60. He goes, "Oh, half a homestead." And him and Patrick were like, "Yeah, half a homestead." Well, there used to be a homestead law or the homestead thing here in Alaska that if you moved on to a unoccupied land and you established that land and you lived there for 2 years straight, then the 120 acres that you lived on was your new homestead. It was
cool. Was it like government or native land or something? It wasn't anyone's land?
It was the state.
So if you were going to take care of it, they'd give it to you?
Yeah, it was the state encouraging people to migrate, move up to Alaska. Well, that's no longer the case.
Darn.
But the state still does pay their residents money to live here every year.
Yeah.
So they still do incentivize in some ways people to live here. But I mean, how much was that lodge that you were looking at?
It was $1 million.
Okay, so there was a really nice lodge, really profitable,
and I asked them, "Does this make a lot of money? Is it busy?" And they were like, "It is so busy. It's nice. Every bit from the room to the restaurant to the lake or whatever was beside it, like everything is nice." And I thought, that's cheap for $1 million.
Yeah, $1 million might sound like a lot, but really, when you look at the place, it wasn't that much.
No, it's beautiful.
But the thing is here, and that's why we drove by several lodges. I'm like, hey, what about that place? I wonder why it's out of business. They can't find anybody to work because the supply and demand of employees is not. Demand is outracing supply. There's just not enough. So if you were a couple that could manage and run a lodge
and do everything yourself,
it would be great. It would probably work out great. But if you were counting on hiring people, hiring good help, and you weren't able to pay them a good amount of money, you're probably going to go out of business.
But you know what was the kicker for me? Like, we were really going to buy it, but you know what was the kicker for me?
What?
They told me that the road getting to it was the worst road around here. I was out because I've been on some bad roads.
We did learn that if roads aren't traveled a whole lot and they're not really like invested in with a lot of money, then a lot of them are like this, because when the ice thaws and melts, the permafrost on this, when it melts and then freezes back and different stuff, it shifts the road a lot. So it's better off if they just leave it gravel, because then whenever the snow melts, they can come in and grade it. We went through on our trip to
the
lodge. We went through 20 miles of gravel road and 20 miles of paved road that doesn't have very much traffic or very much attention, and that 20 miles of gravel was way better than the highway that was like this.
Yeah.
Especially in a 31-foot RV.
But this main highway that we've been traveling, it is awesome, and they maintain it well.
Yeah.
And they take good care of it. But when you're off the beaten path, it's not as good.
Yeah, which makes sense because it's so spread out. So.
Yeah. I don't think I have anything else to say.
Yep, so that's pretty much it on land. It's all over the place. There's no right answer.
Someone asked about the crime rate. I think that would depend on where you're at. Where we're at, I feel 100% safe. Everyone's friendly. No one comes off the highway to bother you.
The neighbors are really neighborly here. They all are in each other's business,
out for each other,
which is good and, of course, bad in some instances. But it's good in a lot of instances because you have somebody looking out. Also, they have internet here. They have security cameras, that type of thing, just like we do at home. So it's not too big a deal. But that's it on the land. So let's go ahead and move in and finish this out with a little bit of planning and praying. So as far as catching up with us, if you've been over at Walker Farm Fam, then you have seen some of the adventures we went on. A couple of the most recent ones was the Matanuska Glacier.
That was pretty awesome, other than me falling.
And Valdez, Alaska. So what did you think about Matanuska?
It was awesome. I didn't know what to expect about hiking to a glacier with the small kids. The tour guides were amazing. We got there. The only reason I fell is because my shoelace got caught in my cleat and there was nowhere to go but down. Luckily, I knocked Ransom down on my way because I was holding his hand. Luckily, he was wearing gloves. He didn't get hurt. So a lot of you had said, you need gloves. Yeah, I agree. But it wasn't cold enough for gloves.
Yeah, it wasn't cold enough for gloves. And, I mean, you think falling on ice, I never thought it would be that sharp either.
It was sharp.
Yeah.
But I didn't see the glacier further because I chose to come back. And watching the footage that you guys got, that was amazing up there where you guys got to go and see, and it was unbelievable.
Yeah, we climbed up on the very top of the glacier to the point where there's 1,000 feet of ice under your feet. And so you're just sitting there and imagining 3 football fields down, all ice. The water's melting off the glacier, so we got to collect some fresh glacier water. And probably the best water I've ever tasted. It was just as clean and crisp and cold as I've ever had water.
Better than the creek water?
Better than the creek water I've tasted. So that was a lot of fun. So if you haven't checked that out, go check that out. And our next trip was to Valdez.
Yep. We were hoping to see grizzly bears because they're supposedly everywhere, but they weren't that day. It wasn't rainy that day, was it?
No, it wasn't rainy, but it's a little bit early.
Yeah, that's what it was.
They have a fish hatchery where they, I think they release, salmon. They release fish for sure. And the bears come up and feed off of those. And so,
it's early.
Yeah, it's just a week, maybe a week and a half early for that. And even
the bears know that it's not eating time yet.
Well, and even outside of that time, that's still a local place the bears like to hang out. So they still go up there and they feed in that river. But we were surprised by all the waterfalls on that trip.
Yes,
they took
not just waterfalls, but unbelievable waterfalls. Why do I keep using that word?
I don't know. I think it's because in Oklahoma we go to like Dripping Springs
and it's like,
or
look at the little
natural falls,
waterfall.
And like that is like this, like somebody's pouring out
coffee on you.
Well, like a stream like that big. Well, here it's like somebody had the biggest fire truck in the world, and it's like, and it's all at once, and you can hike up the side of it a little ways. So it was just beautiful. And then we ate at a great little restaurant called the Fat Mermaid.
It was really good food.
Yeah, and so we shared that over on Walker Farm Fam, so you have to check that out.
It was like a little harbor with boats and stuff, and
yeah,
it was a neat little town.
So as far as praying goes, so I actually wanted to start off with a praise. Chris from Jimmy Houston Outdoors, Jimmy and Chris Houston, we've been praying for them for quite a while, and her progress has just keep getting better and better. She's at home and watching the deer. So we want to thank each and every one of you guys for sharing and praying and sharing that you had been praying, because God has answered some prayers there for sure.
Yeah, I saw that picture of her on the porch, and it was great.
Yeah, and as far as also praying just our safety and all those others that are beginning to travel. I know this is a busy travel season for families. They're out of school, teachers are out of school, and a lot of people are on the roads and in the air. So just continued prayers for everyone's travel are greatly appreciated.
Yes, and a lot of you guys put prayer requests down below, and we read those, and we truly appreciate it. Margie, she supports us on both channels and is always sending amazing things to the kids, and she had some deaths in the family the last couple of weeks, more than one, and so she asked that we be praying for her family and lift them up. So go down in those comments and read other prayer requests and encourage each other. I think it's awesome when I see people make a little like reply response, and it's like they became best friends in the comments. I think that's pretty special and pretty awesome. So just continue to pray for everybody's safety, like Gary said, for the summer busy traveling times, and praying for our safety back to Oklahoma.
Yeah, And we want to thank you guys for following us along to Alaska and putting up with us. I know this is a little bit out of our
Someone
wheelhouse.
the other day said, Alaska's beautiful, but I'm ready to go back for you to go back to the homestead.
Yeah. This is a little bit out of our element, but we also get just as many people saying, thank you for sharing.
Yep.
You've never been to Alaska, but the main reason we really like sharing this is because of our family and our memories. I know it's a little selfish, but when we put those videos out, we'll be able to look back at those next year, 5 years, 10 years from now, unless YouTube goes out of business, of course, and we'll be able to have those as memories for us, and our children will have those for our family memories as well. So we want to thank you guys for following along. We hope you have a great day, and God bless.
Love you guys.